There are moments in life when silence feels louder than noise, when prayers feel unanswered, when people leave, when support disappears, when the world keeps moving, but you feel left behind. You don't feel angry. You don't feel dramatic. You don't even feel broken anymore. You just feel forgotten. And in that quiet place of abandonment, a dangerous thought begins to grow. Maybe I don't matter. Maybe God doesn't see me. Maybe I've been left alone. But if you feel abandoned today, there is a word of Christ you need to remember. Not a loud word, not a dramatic word, not a complicated word. A simple word, a quiet word, a gentle word, a word that doesn't shout, but heals. There was a man once who followed Jesus closely, not from a distance, not casually, not occasionally. He believed, he trusted, he hoped, he stayed, and then one day everything collapsed. The miracles stopped, the crowds turned away, the voices grew silent, the fear grew loud, and in the darkest moment of his life, he felt something deeper than fear. He felt abandoned, not just by people, not just by friends, but in his heart, he felt abandoned by God. And in that moment, he whispered the same words so many people whisper today. Where are you? Not as a complaint, not as rebellion, but as pain. Where are you, God? You know, some of you know that feeling. When your phone is silent, when no one checks on you, when no one asks how you are, when you're strong for everyone else but alone with your own tears, you show up for others. But no one shows up for you. You help others heal, but no one helps you breathe. You listen to everyone's pain, but no one hears yours, and slowly, quietly, invisibly, you start believing you've been abandoned. And this is where the word of Christ enters the story. Not with thunder, not with fire, not with judgment, but with a promise. I am with you always, not sometimes. Not when life is good, not when faith feels strong, always. Not when you feel him, not when you sense him, not when you understand him, always. Even in silence, even in confusion, even in darkness, even in waiting, even in grief, even in loneliness, always. Feeling abandoned does not mean you are abandoned. Feeling alone does not mean you are alone. Feeling forgotten does not mean you are forgotten. Silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. Waiting does not mean rejection. And pain does not mean God has left. Sometimes God is closest when he feels the quietest. Sometimes his presence is not loud. It's steady, not emotional, but faithful, not dramatic, but constant. Jesus never promised a life without loneliness. He never promised a life without loss. He never promised a life without pain. But he promised presence, he promised nearness, he promised faithfulness. He promised that even when the world walks away, he stays. Even when people forget, he remembers. Even when doors close, he remains. Even when love fails, he doesn't. If today you feel abandoned, not because someone hurt you, but because life drained you, not because someone left, but because everything changed, not because you stopped believing, but because you're tired of waiting, this message is for you. Not to pressure you, not to judge you, not to rush you, not to fix you, but to remind you, you are not invisible, you are not forgotten, you are not unseen, you are not unimportant, you are not unloved, you are not alone. Rest here for a moment, breathe. You don't have to be strong here. You don't have to pretend here. You don't have to explain here. You don't have to perform here. Just rest, Let your heart rest. Let your mind rest. Let your spirit rest. Christ is not distant from your pain. He is present in it. Cleanse when you feel abandoned. Remember this word of Christ. I am with you always. Not as poetry, not as religion, not as tradition, but as truth, as promise, as presence, as identity, as faith, as reality. Land, you may feel alone, but you are not unloved. You may feel forgotten, but you are remembered. You may feel unseen, but you are known. You may feel abandoned, but you are held. By grace, by love, by mercy, by Christ. And even when everything feels empty, He remains. Lord Jesus, be close to the brokenhearted. Be near to the abandoned. Be present with the lonely. Be comfort to the weary. Be strength to the tired. Be peace to the anxious. Be light to the dark places. Let every soul watching this feel your presence. Not loudly, but deeply. Not dramatically, but truly. Amen.